Hi, CJ Miller there, Shreveport, Louisiana. Just across the Red River is beautiful Bossier City, Louisiana. Uh, like just the other side of downtown. Come check us out. So I did decide to go ahead and because I realized I didn't have Ghost Story in my digital collection. Now, I know I can stream this all over the place and it pops up on streaming networks from time to time, but when I want to watch it, I want to watch it. So and it wasn't a cheaper purchase. As old as it was, I would have thought I'd be able to get it for like $5 or $6. Nah, I had to pay, uh, yeah, pretty fair market rate. So one of the okay, so the who's in it? Fred Astaire, uh, Melvin Douglas, Douglas Fairbanks Jr. actually, and John Houseman. Now he is the one. He's been in a lot of stuff. Back in the day, he was like, "We made money the old-fashioned way. We earn it." They were like doing an advertisement for a investment company. Okay, where I want to go to is Kurt Johnson, who was in the last movie I just reviewed, The Fan. He's only noted for four movies. In 1980, he did a movie called, I just researched this because I got interested in him. He did a movie called, uh, I forget what it is, a movie about Jane Austen. It's like two teachers uh, vying for the right to do a play by Jane Austen that she wrote when she was 12 years old. And I think it's uh, vying for Jane Austen or something like that. I don't know. And then, of course, and these two came out in the same year, The Fan and Ghost Story, 1981, around the same time. And they were probably Canadian produced. I know that The Fan looks a lot like New York. Uh, Ghost Story, I'm gonna have to check it out. I didn't get a lot of New York there. I got a lot of New Englandy kind of stuff, prep school kind of vibe. But I haven't watched this movie yet. I have seen it, but I haven't watched it since I just bought it. But and then he did one more movie. It was called Soul Survivor, uh, which I is not available here according to this filmography. But it came out in 1984. Four movies. Three of them genre movies, and the reason why he did not make more it's because he died in 1986, and a young man in the prime of his life in 1986, with all the advantages that he could have, uh, who dies in 1986, um, and it wasn't a crime killing. It wasn't a murder. Uh, he died of a sickness. It was AIDS. He died of AIDS, and AIDS is what we now know as advanced HIV disease, but it used to be called AIDS, acquired immune deficiency syndrome, and that was they it got that name when they did not know uh, what it was. It was a set of symptoms that resulted in death, and they didn't even know what it was. You know, and they started to understand it. Uh, Maybe around that time that he died, but there were no treatments. Uh, you know, and it was speculative that it was uh, either bacterial or viral. Uh, I don't know uh, when they actually got around to discovering what it was. I know that when they did isolate and discovered that it was a virus, and they named it the exact same sample uh, testing was in the United States, the and also in France, and they were uh, both teams were taking credit for discovering the virus. And um, in truth, it was probably a collaborative thing. They explore that in the novel and in the movie of the novelization called "And the Band Plays On," which was a it was a miniseries produced in 1990s, based on the novel, and it's not a play by play. It's a dramatization to chronicle the history of the disease itself, but not so much. The characters uh, are dramatized. They're not necessarily real characters, even if they are kind of inspired by uh, some of the victims of that disease. But uh, so this is a man who was, I don't know how, he had to have been in his late 20s, prime of his life, cut down by that disease. And I'm going to take the time to say it. Uh, and when you got to play, no judgment. Do whatever you do, but be really, really, to be mindful of the fact that there's a lot of myths out there about HIV, that it's no longer a threat, uh, that it's, you can't get it anymore because everybody's taking medicine and this and that and this, and you can't catch it when it's non-detectable. And maybe maybe it's such a low thing that you can't catch it when it's non-detectable. If they have solved it, we wouldn't still be getting new people who have who come up HIV positive, and that still happens on a regular basis. It doesn't have to, if everybody takes the precautions that they should take. And there's so many options out there. So find what's right for you and do that. But nobody, uh, nobody today moving forward has to um, acquire HIV and and then maybe live in good health, but have to do it on medication and have to carefully monitor, and then maybe have a shortened lifespan because of some of the medication, give or take. Or nobody has to um, die if because they're it's still there are people who still die from it. um, it's not the epidemic that it was in our country, that it was in the 80s going into the 90s. Because when I was coming of age, like 19, 20 years old, I don't know how the hell I didn't get it. Really, I do. I was very, very, very cautious, and almost to a paranoid extent about that. Uh, and some of that still holds over today. It's why I don't date around too much today. And if I do any playing around, which I really don't, but if I were, it would be, uh, I'm so sorry. We got a checklist of precautions, bro. So anyway, this movie Ghost Story. It's a good movie. Started out being a review about the Ghost Story. Uh, but then really, I really, what it really, I was gonna watch Ghost Story, come back and do a video about it. But then I kind of noticed that the actor that was in common with this movie, it was like, cool, okay, well, who is he then? Uh, you know, uh, uh, then I'm drawing a blank on his name. Who is this person, this Kurt Johnson, who plays one of the younger versions of the main characters? Young Wonderly. Who is this actor? We know Ken Olin went on to become a producer of TV and some movies and stuff. So there's a lot of good talent in this movie. But I got to notice, hey, this Kurt Johnson, who is he? And then I looked at it, and then I was like, why does he not have more movies? Why did he suddenly just four credits, four, and then all of a sudden just disappear? And it is because he was sick and then he died, and that's very, very sad. So, little history there for you. Um, and we're in the United States. We're in a first world developed country and everything like that. But in some parts of the world, they don't have the access, and the sickness is still there. You know what I mean? Like, it's still killing people. Uh, it's still a crisis in most of Africa, as a matter of fact. And yeah, it's a fact of a lot of people's lives. It does not have to be a fact of our lives if we take the precaution that we need to, you know. And I do still believe that it can be eradicated uh, as a threat, you know. Not to shame anyone who lives with HIV, uh, because today there's all sorts of precautions, and people can still have fulfilling uh, love lives in every way. Take the precautions that you need to take to protect yourself and protect others, and don't just take things for granted. Okay, that's enough of my soapboxing. Love you guys. Um, my public service announcement, and my video is like, yo, some features. You know, I need to charge my phone. Love and light. God bless. Good night. Bye. I'm off to watch Ghost Story.